grains from Canada just kind of happened that way. Good for them. I mean, actually, this local focus. Let's say that it's somewhere less than $50 million. What happens when it goes over 500 million or needs to scale to meet more than 1% of Albertan food demand, and needs capital in order to do that, to acquire the resources that are needed to scale up anything. So a lot of people from the local food movement don't want to look at the scale-up equation because they feel like the integrity is going to be lost somehow. And what I want to ask everyone on the panel, starting with Lance and heading down, is how do we meet the needs of capital? Where are efficiencies introduced in order to elicit in the competitiveness that allows for an industry to grow without the rhetoric? And what I mean is by economics, by availability, and by consumer choice and preference, which includes education, I get it. But how does that scale to meet the needs of capital, which it will either do or not? And if we don't, there'll be local watching instead of actual local food. So how do we meet the needs of capital on a go-forward basis?
Here, let's look at it from the other way around. And quite simply, the answer is if farms are able to make money, they'll be sustainable. Right now, there is very little money in that farming. Right, Chris?
Yep.
And so it doesn't make it desirable as a career option. It doesn't make it investable as a business option. So it's a very simple answer to that, is if you can make money in farming, the rest of that will follow. Capital will follow that down. It's very complicated, in how do we make that happen. Paying true value for what somebody does and what somebody grows is probably the first thing that needs to happen.
And so I think we've got to go back to the healthcare part of it, but I don't think that we just say it's on the holistic people. I mean, this is the whole healthcare system itself, and we have to recognize that it's not just a sliver of people who are on the holistic side. We have to make sure that the whole healthcare industry understands the importance of it. And so when we talk about a subscription to the Good Food Box or a subscription to a CSA, we should be talking about that it's a prescription. This is something that a doctor should be writing up in their doctor's office, saying you got to eat right. And this is what you got to do. This is the type of stuff that you got to put into yourself. You got to start going back to whole foods. That's where we're going to see a huge impact, I think.
Exactly. You take the healthcare budget and you apply that to local sustainable food production.
Yeah.
Imagine what you can.
Yeah. Go ahead. Wait. Yeah.
I think go back to the holistic nutritionist, because we want to open up the debate about what is nutrition and what is health within that health industry. It's just as inflammatory as what we've seen here today and beyond.
Basically, we need to recognize that the policy is what drives it, whether we're talking about education or healthcare or just primary production of agricultural products. It is policy which drives how these things happen in the institutions on the ground. And what we need to do is recognize that food is a political issue, and we need to re-engage as citizens in our democracies to guide these policies. And basically that's the recommendation, re-engage in the democratic process to drive the policies in a direction which will feed all of us in a healthy way.
Well, I thought the panel sessions were great, really lively conversation. The diversity of people there were absolutely fabulous, and you can look at the same issue from multiple perspectives and you just learn so much from them. For me, I was involved in the financing one first, and it was really interesting to see just the different language that everyone was using. The venture capitalists are speaking in one language, and while everyone else is speaking in a different language, their own language. But just to think about the challenge of bringing those languages together so we can actually put the pieces together that need to be put together for the energy system.
Wow, and how did you see that functioning a little bit in the panel, or some challenges or successes in terms of bridging communication gaps?
Yeah, I think we definitely were successful in overcoming some of those communication gaps, but some of them still remain.
Yeah.
We didn't have time to break them all down, but I'm hopeful that that'll be an easy fix as we talk more and have more of these types of events.
And how is the discussion and the information that you're gathering from the symposium relevant to your work in business and life?
Well, a lot of my work is around energy policy, and so it's really important for me to hear from people who are trying to do this stuff on the ground to then make recommendations for, say what the provincial government should do or the local government should do. So I'm definitely going to be taking a lot of good stuff away from this one.
Excellent. Thanks so much, Justin.
All right. Thanks.
I really think this was a bit of a great brainchild. There was a number of great panelists that were at the sessions I was at today, as well as Monday. I've attended both events, and what I got out of some of them were broadening of policy, particularly regulation, working with what's existing to try to forward the thinking in a logical and effective way to industry. I think that there has to be balances in everything, economic and social, and I think at the end of the day, I think that can happen over time. It takes events like this to actually make that happen.
I just want to congratulate and thank the Alberta Council of Technologies and Green Building Council for putting on this symposium today. 2003, the first green building policy of a municipality in Canada was adopted by the City of Calgary, and that's a direct result of having learned something at a symposium. And we've actually got some of the most significant concentrations of green buildings in Canada as a consequence. So these symposia and getting together in these meetings have a lot of potential power. The other reason I love events like this is that it's at events like this where you find leaders. And when leaders gather, great things can happen. The fact that you're here and understanding and recognize the need for change, the fact that you're here to share your knowledge and to learn from others, that's a key component of bringing change to the reality we're facing and bring change into the marketplace. The fact that you're here to do that makes you a leader. And so I really want to thank the Alberta Council of Technologies, Klaus, you and Perry, for organizing this and showing leadership in that way, and for bringing us together. I think great things are going to happen in this province as a consequence. And thanks to those of you in this room, 5, 10 years from now, we may look back on the things we learned here and recognize that it made a big difference in the life of our communities and our province. So thank you.
So without any further ado, I want to introduce you to someone who I've come to highly respect, who has an incredible passion for his project, as anyone who is a project manager must, but who seems to really get it, that there is change underway, and he'll tell you what he has in mind. So bear with you, David Bromley.
I do want to thank all of you for coming out, and also I want to thank the organizers of this conference seminar. A number of us have all said in the lineup for the food how great the food is, and on top of that, how great the conversation's been all day long. Because what makes Avenir different is that it's not just a community, it's also a platform for technology investment and technology development. And it's unique in the regard that it is a platform, a community, that we're going to be able to identify technology, identify business opportunities in technology, and let the market evaluate it. Dr. Homer Dixon gave the story of 1950. Now, think about 1950, 60 years ago, prior to all those technologies I just mentioned being developed. And there was a real buzz at that time, in 1950, of all these new things that are going to make our life better, washing machines and TVs and so forth. And they had another think tank. And they brought all the tech geeks at the time together in 1950. And they said, well, we want you to predict in 50 years what technologies we're going to have. So in the year 2000. So in the year 2000, they went and checked and went back and looked at what they predicted. And they were 10% right. The point of this is that you cannot predict the technology future. Avenir is not just a land development project. Avenir is relying on technology development and business opportunities, and development of business opportunities in the clean technology sector. So what we did is we went out and found somebody called Mars, and Mars is actually the University of Toronto's Clean Technology Incubator. And we like Mars because Mars is 10,000 meters up, looking down at all those business opportunities that are coming before them right now. And we wanted somebody to tell us what business opportunities were great opportunities that we should invest in. But in doing that, we did not want to get off base with a variety of different sectors. So we focused in on 5 sectors. Local energy production, water recovery and reuse, local food production, advanced building materials, and private vehicle energy infrastructure. We said, look, those are the 5 sectors that we want to find excellent business opportunities in. So Mars was brought on board to help us in that regard. But look, in this business, certainly in the investment industry, we all want to find